Hello and welcome back to the GorillaBiker, and today what we're doing is changing the oil on the 2022 Honda Rebel 500 we have here in the garage. Now this bike only has like I think 1200 miles or so on it. The reason I'm changing the oil is I don't know the history. It's 2022, low mileage. I'm sure CycleMax changed the oil before we bought it, but I'd rather be sure. All you need for this job is 10W30 oil of your choice. You absolutely do not have to use what I use, and a filter of your choice. I bought a Canon or a KN204 or KNN, and the code is KN204. The reason I got this one is it's what Revzilla had in stock, and I get 2-day delivery because I pay for the super amazing thing. Now what I'm going to do first is I'm just going to show you where the drain plug is. Because then I'm going to lower the bike back down. I do have it stood up because it's better for video, but the drain plug is actually at the back of the sump. So I think to get it to drain properly, it does need to be down on the side stand. So that's what we're going to do. But anyway, without further ado, we'll get this. I already have the engine warmed up, so we're going to get that plug out and draining. So hopefully you'll be able to see well on the phone here. That is the drain plug right there. So it is a 12mm socket. I would suggest a socket because I think you'd hit here with a spanner or a wrench, and you will just need a crush washer to replace here. That's what I'm saying, it's kind of at the back. I'm going to pop it open and see if we need to do anything else. So what I'll do is I'll pop that open and hopefully be able to get it on camera. And then the oil filter itself is right in there. So I'm going to also clean around the oil filter before I actually take it off, just because it's a bit, as you can see, it's a little bit dirty in there. It's not very well protected. Maybe a skid plate would be called for just to protect that underside of the engine in the future. We shall see. That does kind of look brand new, but either way, now we know it's brand new. Always just make sure that the actual old crush washer is off down there as well before you put back in your plug, just to be sure. All right, I'm gonna leave that drain for a while. So it's a very interesting little observation here. This drain plug oil sump bolt did not have a crush washer on it. It's not left on the block, unless it fell in there, which I will check later. I'll actually strain that out. So it's a really good thing I checked, because even if this is by design, even if Honda himself walked into my garage right now and said you don't need a crush washer, I don't trust it. Call me old-fashioned, but that should have a crush washer. So I'm very glad I did this job now, even if the oil looks pretty fresh. It's 100% worth doing the job, because that should have a crush washer. So what I'm going to do now is just clean up here a little bit and then spin that off. I did finally buy an oil filter wrench, which I'm sure, oil filter grabber, oil filter spinny boy, which I'm sure a lot of people will be happy about. So yeah, we'll just clean up around it and then we'll pop it off. Okay, so now always be careful of your headers, because they're going to be hot, and then you can spin off your oil filter. And probably we're going to get some on the actual headers themselves, because that's what usually happens. But we'll find out momentarily. A little bit on the headers, but that's okay. We'll get that cleaned up. I really wonder, is this original oil? I have a feeling this might be original oil. Either way, very glad I did this job, because you know there was no crush washer on the drain plug. I don't know when that happened. So I've had to break into my stock of personal washers, which I was going to do anyway. But yeah, generally, I'll Google it real quick and correct myself if I'm wrong. But generally, this is how a bolt should come out. You should have a crush washer on here somewhere. It's just because you're mating metal to metal, you want like a crush material to act as a gasket. that's what it should look like. If you don't have a gasket on your drain bolt, I would suggest putting one on. This is the fun part of an oil change. You get to just kind of relax while it drains. Do clean all your mating surfaces before you do put anything back in. So here's our Canon KN204. I'm going to rip this plastic off in a sec. It comes pre-lubricated. That's like Vaseline underneath it. If you don't have a pre-lubricated one, I would suggest putting on a bit of fresh oil onto that gasket, just so it comes off easier next time, or used oil. I have used oil plenty of times in my life and it has never really affected anything. So I'm just going to unwrap this real quick. The dash one, by the way, I'm pretty certain just means it's black. You can get a chrome one of these as well, but that would look horrendous on here, so we're not doing that. So like I said earlier, before you put this back on, you want to just clean up that mating surface, which I've already done, and then usually I will spin this backwards until it catches onto the threads, and then spin it on by hand. Always by hand. Once you get it like tight like this, you just want to turn it another like half turn until it's sat. You don't need to over tighten these because they are on a rubber gasket, so it seals. Like, you don't want to wrench on this really hard. Just like hand tight plus a half a turn. The other thing is, never use this to tighten. You can use this, if you get one of these, you can use this to loosen it, but never use this to tighten because you can actually crack the welds here and then these can leak. So be careful of that. Never, ever, 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 ever use this bolt to tighten. Only untighten if you're discarding the oil filter. Okay, so then for putting this back on, you want to again clean your mating surface. You'll probably still have a couple of drips, and that's okay. What we're going to do now is just get most of that cleaned up. I acted like a plunger there, didn't I? Oopsie. You'll always have a little bit of oil left in your engine. Like if you look at this, you know, like a rebuild amount of oil is 3 point something litres. And then an oil change is like 2.7 or something like that, or maybe 3.2, 3.7, 3.2, something like that. But there'll always be more oil if you're doing like an engine teardown, because oil will always stay sitting in certain places. You can't get it all out. You just can't. Alright, so like I said, if you are someone who wants to torque these, you can go to 30 Newton meters here, or if you're comfortable with it, I have always tightened oil plugs by hand, and that's about as tight as I'm going there. Basically, all you want to do is actually crush that crush washer, and that's it, it's seated. Just to show you, that's it sat back on there. I don't know what you'll be able to see, but that washer is crushed. And like I said, if you're unsure, like start out at 25 Newton meters or something. Never ever over tighten these, because if you strip these, it is a bit of a pain to fix that. You have to use like a helicoil or something along those lines. Okay, so filling your oil, what you're going to want to do is open up this guy here. All right, that's your oil fill cap. It has a little gasket on it. See that little rubber gasket? Don't lose that. It's important. That is, this one's just finger tight. As you fill, you want to watch your fill down here. Now on the Rebel 500, it is slightly more difficult because it's hidden behind this, so I will not be able to show you while I fill it. I'm just going to fill it and show you the final result. But that line right there is your full line. So what we're going to do is, that oil filter right there holds about 200 milliliters of oil. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill this to top, and we're going to start the bike for 30 seconds or so, just to fill up that oil filter, and then we're going to let this sit for a couple of minutes and check it and top it up as needed. Never overfill your oil. If you're worried about it, get it in the middle of the window. See the lower line down here, and the upper line here. So lower line, upper line. If you're worried, go for the middle. Never overfill it, and obviously never underfill it. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to fill this by here until we have enough oil in there to start. Okay, so hopefully you can see that, but it's a bit dusty. But now we're not quite at the full mark. Again, I can't really get an angle that shows you well, so there is a little bit of error of parallax here because of the angle of my phone. But we have enough oil in there now to start the bike and run it for literally like 30 seconds. All you're doing here is filling up the oil filter pretty much. All right, so we're going to do that and then we'll check it again. Okay, so it's been a few minutes. And you can see we're actually just low now. So I'm just gonna top this up now. And I'll show you where I'm gonna leave it. And then always after your first ride, just when you get home, check it and make sure it's still good. All right, so again, bit of parallax here, but that's where I'm leaving it. For my eyes, that's below, about a mil, couple of mil below the full mark. And as you can see there, we used about 2.65, 2.7 liters, which I'm fairly certain is the correct refill amount when just doing an oil and filter change. So that's where it is. I'm happy with that, and that is how you change the oil. Not too difficult. I found it. I went back and it was actually stuck to the inside of the oil drain jug I had. So there was one on it, thank God. The streak of never having one missing continues. I'm actually really happy I was there, or I would have been slightly confused. So that's it, and that is how you change the oil. I used Motul 7100 10W30. You absolutely do not have to use that oil. And like I said, I used the Canon 204. You should use 10W30. That's what's recommended in the owner's manual. And Canon 204, Canon 204, or alternative. There are high flows out there. Obviously, Honda OEM is probably what I'll get for this next time, because the price difference is negligible. It's just I couldn't get it quickly. You'll need a crush washer, and that's why if you're doing this for the first time, just take your time, and I guarantee you'll be able to do it just fine. Everyone can make mistakes, but at least if you do it yourself, you only have yourself to blame, which is why I personally like doing it. The main thing is take your time. Oil changes are not difficult, but taking your time is the main thing, because it's easier to add some oil than take oil out. Always remember that. Way easier. So yeah, that's the main thing, is just take your time. Don't over tighten anything. The sump plug or oil drain bolt does not want to be over tightened. They don't like it at all. Take it easy. Get a torque wrench if you're nervous. Start at 25 Newton meters. Gently work your way up to 30, the Honda spec, or 22 pound-feet, foot-pounds, whatever way it's described. I know the Freedom torques, 22 of those. And yeah, that's it. Just hand tight plus a bit on the oil filter, and then 30 Newton meters or 22 Freedom torques, foot-pounds, pound-feet, I don't know, something like that. Crush washer, whatever one you prefer. I've always used copper. I probably will use copper forever. You can buy an assorted kit of them, and they're cheap. And yeah, that's it. So yeah, if you watched, thank you very much for watching. As always, a very special thank you to all of my patrons. It's funny because I know a couple of my patrons were expecting me to do this. One or two of them messaged me like, you haven't done the oil yet. It's a thing I do. I change the oil and everything. Like I don't care if I buy it off a garage and they were like, we did this oil yesterday. I'm still probably going to change it myself just to be sure. It is the cheapest insurance you can do on your bike is an oil change. I personally use good oil and good filters. That is my personal choice. I'm not saying you have to do that. I am not a professional. Take my advice, or take my non-advice. It's non-advice. That's just what I do. You can do what you like. But yeah, if this is your first time doing an oil change and you've used this one to change the oil in your Rebel 300, 500 or 1100, let me know. Very easy job. Everything is accessible. Give it a go yourself if you're watching this and wondering. All you need is somewhere to put your old oil. You need a new oil filter, crush washer, and a 12mm socket. That's it. You can do this. If you give it a go after this video, let me know. And yeah, until next time, thank you again for watching. Adios. Outro crew. Have you ever seen a sump plug bolt or an oil drain bolt with no crush washer? That's a first for me, genuinely. In all my many years, I've never taken off one of those with no washer at all. I've seen them doubled. I've seen them doubled up, but never with none. So that's a new one for me. What about you? Bye, outro crew.